Hey rail fans, today we're going to put together some track bumpers or bumping posts, and then we'll install them on the layout. I know that you can buy pre-made track bumpers, but I found out recently that you can make this stuff with ordinary things that you have around the house. Some of the things that you're going to need: a piece of paper, clothespin, tweezers, an X-Acto knife, some square toothpicks, Elmer's glue, double-sided tape, and of course we're going to need some wood stain. So let's go ahead and get started. I put together a set of plans to give you an idea of how I put together a track bumper. You can see here everything is in 3/4 inch lengths. I tried to keep it simple, that way you only got to cut things one time or to one length and not make it too overly complicated. The 5/8 inch down here represents the width of the rails on the track, so I know that when I use my template with my double-sided tape, exactly where to line up those outer posts so that they'll fit in between the rails. This line is pre-drawn 3/4 inch long. So I already have a template here. When I lay down the toothpicks to cut them, I don't have to get a ruler or tape measure and measure it all the time. So try and keep things simple and cut down the amount of time that it takes to put this stuff together. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our toothpicks to length. So what we need to do is we need to cut the rounded portion off of the end. That way we have a somewhat of a square end to work with. And it doesn't have to be perfect when you make these cuts. Now we grab our template and measure it up there. We're going to need 9 of these per bumping post. So once we get these cut, we'll go ahead and start staining them and put them together. Probably get about 2 3/4 inch lengths out of a toothpick. Okay, there we have our pieces of toothpicks cut to 3/4 inch length. So now the next step would be to stain them. Now that we have all of our pieces cut, we need to take 2 of these and cut the ends off at an angle. That way they'll fit together a little bit smoother. So I'm just going to take the tip of one and cut it off at about a 45-degree angle. The next step would be to stain our pieces, and after we stain them we're going to need to leave them sit for a couple hours to dry. If you don't stain your pieces before you glue them, the glue may prevent the stain from setting into the wood, so it's a good idea to stain your pieces before you start gluing them together. What we're going to do is I'm just going to take my tweezers here and I'm going to dip them into the stain, leave them sit for a couple of seconds, and I'm going to dab off the excess with the paper towel. I like using dark walnut stain. Excuse me. I like using dark walnut stain. It gives the appearance of railroad ties, and the end product, what we're looking for is old-time track bumpers that they took some stuff and threw it together, keep the cars from rolling off the track. So we're just going to dip that in there, leave it soak in for a couple of seconds, dab off the excess. There you can see I have a nice dark railroad tie stain on there, and I'm just going to set these on, I have here an old piece of track laying on the workbench so that they'll dry in a couple of hours. Okay, there you go. We have all of our pieces stained. We'll leave them sit for a couple hours so that they'll dry, and then we'll come back and start gluing things together. Gluing the pieces together, remember there's 2 that we cut at an angle so that we could fit it together as a support, so don't grab those first. But what we're going to do is we're going to grab one of our pieces and we're going to use our template here to line the post up. Remember that these 2 long lines indicate the inside of the rail, and I want the post to fit inside of there. So we're just going to set this down, line it up straight, and this is where the double-sided tape comes in handy. You see I put that piece down on the tape and it holds it in place. Don't have enough fingers to do everything. Take our next piece, lined up on the top and on the sides. So now we're going to take a little bit of Elmer's glue, dab each one of them, you can take one of the toothpicks that you cut off earlier, spread that down the post a little bit, because it doesn't take much glue to hold this in place. Take our pieces and start to line them up. Starting at the top and working your way down. We're going to use about 5 of these for the bumping post. And remember, I didn't intend for these to be perfect. Straight on the top. Now this is where the clothespin comes in handy, and if you notice what I did here is I took a clothespin and I inverted the spring on it, and so I have a flat end that I can get a little bit better grip on. I also use this for holding wires when I'm doing my soldering. So we're going to use the end of this to hold those pieces together until the glue sets. Okay, now that the glue is dry, we can proceed on with the next step. So what we're going to do is we're going to peel off the bumper from the two-sided tape. And what I did is I grabbed some cork road bed and spare piece of track I have laying on the workbench here, just to give you the close-up and the concept to install these onto your layout. So there you can see track bumper, and what we're going to do is we're going to insert this in between the rails. Making sure that's somewhat straight up and down. Then we're going to take the pieces that we cut earlier at an angle, test fit. Always test fit your items before you start gluing. And as you can see there, that lines up pretty good. So what we'll do is go ahead and dab some glue on the bottom portion there. And you don't need a whole lot. There you can see we put some glue on the bottom of the post there, and we'll go ahead and insert that. Give that a couple of seconds to set before we start putting the other pieces on. We will do the same thing with our wood that we cut at an angle. Just want to put some dabs of glue on the end. Say just enough to hold it in place, and once we drop this down in there, making sure that the bottom part of it is inside the rail and the top of it is leaning up against the bumper post. Grab the second piece, repeat the process. There you can see I've got a little glue dabbed on each end of it. There you have a track bumper. A little bit of excess glue right here, we'll wipe that off. You want to make sure that it's straight up and down. And here's the finished product. As you can see, once we get everything glued together, we take our post, see they're inserted here in between the rails, took the cross arms and glued it to the back of the post and on top of the tie in between the tracks. Put your ballast in around that and then glue your ballast pretty solid and permanent. Well, there you go. A couple of toothpicks, some stain and some Elmer's glue, and you've got some real inexpensive track bumpers that I think look better than you can buy in a store. Once again, thanks for watching.